Microphone check. We are live. We are live. Make sure my camera's focused. Then we're gonna get started, baby. I think that's as good as I can get. Doesn't look bad. Okay. Let me fix this. Okay. That's all right. Yeah. I think dim light's better. Okay. Okay. Let's run with dim light. How are you guys? Happy Thursday. Another episode of Silicon Made Simple. But we're doing things a little bit differently today. We're gonna do live labs. So this is the first of my live lab series where you guys are actually gonna get to, if anybody is watching this live with us, you guys are gonna go ahead and be able to use this as a reference to actually get your hands-on practice and get some experience with installing and getting ready to operate a virtual machine. So I have some diagrams and some short explanations for you that are going to go over what a virtual machine is. We're going to also talk about Linux today. I don't. I'm a disclaimer. I do not know how to read Linux. Like I know that the dash R and the dash dash R and stuff means different things. We're not going to get that advanced to it today. We're just going to get set up and create the environment so that everybody can play with it. And then as we figure out Linux together, you guys will have a place to go that you can play around with things, right? So let me go ahead and pull up these guides that I created for you guys, and I do have them downloaded today, so it will not be a mess like yesterday, which I still apologize for. I got one here. Okay, okay. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen, and we can get going. Bing bop, boom, 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 bop, bam, bada bing, bada boom. Okie doke. Share. And we are in the streaming abyss. Welcome. I just kidding. Okay, let's go. So, I know that yesterday when we did our how to build a PC, I probably went over operating systems very briefly. So we're gonna dive in a little bit more about operating systems today, and I'm gonna show you why I created this chart. Right. So Linux is okay. So let me go ahead and explain virtualization first, right? Because once we know what virtualization is, then we'll know which operating systems we're going to use in conjunction with one another, and then everything should make sense in a clear platform or in a clear way. Sorry, I don't know why I said platform. Okay, so the host operating system is Windows, right? I have Windows 11 Pro. So that is my host operating system. That is basically, what operates my CPU commands. It's, what has my desktop, everything. It's how the computer works is basically the operating system. It's how the system operates, right? Pretty clear. But we can also use what's called a virtual machine software like Oracle VirtualBox. And what that does is kind of create like a literal virtual software environment on top of our current operating system. And the advantages of that are, well, there's a lot. Um, it kind of creates like a sandbox environment where you can practice developing code. You can play around with hardware configurations like RAID arrays and things like that, which um, I think we will do a little bit more on that next lab, but we'll see what kind of time we have today. But yeah, it's a great environment to simulate a lot of things that you want to do, but you don't necessarily want to put a lot of things on top of your host system. So there are basic requirements for this, as we talked about yesterday, and I showed you guys the PC components. If you don't know PC components, go back and go ahead and watch that video. And the reason I want you to watch that video is because we go over what each part of the PC does and kind of how it works. So when I use these terms, you guys will know, oh, okay, I know what he's talking about when he says you need RAM or you need, a GPU with this and that, right? So go ahead and watch that. There's also some great ones. Some of my favorite tech YouTubers put them all out. PC Centric is amazing for that. Hardware Unboxed, Gamers Nexus. There's a lot of great channels, including mine. But yeah, so make sure you know your PC components. It's really essential for how we're going to learn in the future. Um, anyways, so a virtual machine requires a little bit of RAM. It requires that you have enough storage on there also. And it requires that you have a control processing unit, computer processing unit slash CPU with enough cores to be able to run things simultaneously. So that's not a very stringent requirement. Most quad core CPUs will be more than fine. I don't think you could do this very smoothly on like a dual core CPU, but I don't know what devices even use that kind of chip configuration anymore, regardless. So if you have any type of modern computer, you should be able to follow along with this lab pretty seamlessly. If you guys have Mac OS, let me know in the comments how many people we have that are using Mac, and then I'll start doing some stuff with Mac OS too. So we have the virtual machine that we can then download Linux on. Now, why are we downloading Linux instead of something else? Well, let's take a little look at Linux and its popular use cases. Okay, so Linux is a great operating system because it is completely open source. Now, by open source, I mean that the coding is completely able to be manipulated, changed, altered, reconfigured, what have you, right? So when you're thinking of Linux versus Mac OS versus Windows. Windows has a certain code that's written and it has a digital signature on it. And certain aspects of that code are staple foundations of how the operating system works. So they're not designed to be altered. And if you do reconfigure it or somehow crack that in a way you're not supposed to, the operating system will almost certainly cease to fail, if not just do a lot of things that are unfavorable for your experience. So what we want to do instead, right, is well, not instead, because if you're a basic user, then Mac OS is fine. Even for professionals, Mac OS is great. Even for industry professionals, you can use Mac, you can use Windows. It's really your preference, right? But if you want to get into coding and you really want that environment that you can truly practice and like create your own kind of look to and really have full customizable control, you want to know about Linux and you should probably start learning it. So here's some popular use cases of the Linux operating system. Cybersecurity uses it all the time. A lot of cybersecurity operation centers will run on Linux due to its reliability and its customizability. Servers and infrastructure often run on Linux. Software development is almost always done on Linux because of, again, its ability to be open source and how you can manipulate it and what you can actually do. Less constraints, right? So RAM also. I'm essentially, Linux is used to code the actual binary commands inside your random access memory. So that's how that works. And then you have, your cloud environments, AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google's cloud, NVIDIA's cloud, all those things. I'm not certain that they run with Linux, but I do know that Linux has a lot to do with the infrastructure of cloud and developmental ops, which is why I included it in this guide. So all of this is hardware related, right? And you can see that Linux does a lot when it comes to hardware and software. So it's a pretty important operating system, and it's one that you definitely want to know of and know about. So now that we know how virtualization works, again, let's review that. We have Windows, we download virtual machine software like Oracle Box, and then we can run Linux on top of Windows. That's basically how we're going to do virtualization in a very, very, very simple nutshell. Um, Now, this is how it works, right? So we have all of our hardware. We've got a network configuration, which I do. I'm connected via internet. I have my internet access via Ethernet cable. Your disk space, you have to have your disk space available to download things. Your RAM, you have to have enough RAM because as we use the virtual machine, you're going to have to allocate a certain portion of your RAM to that virtual machine and have it operate. So my computer has 32 gigabytes of RAM. I have DDR4 configuration, and that'll give me plenty of enough RAM to allocate anywhere from 4 to 6, maybe even 8 gigs I could allocate for a virtual machine. It really just depends what you want to do with it. And then you need a good CPU, which I explained briefly about the requirements of that. Really, any x64 architecture CPU that has at least 4 cores should be good to go. We're gonna talk about CPUs on Tuesday. We're gonna actually go into them, and I'll explain how they're built. Talk to you guys about transistors, cores, threads, all these things. Right? We'll get a deeper dive than what we did on Tuesday. And all of these things in a cake make it possible for us to do a virtual machine. So that's basically what we're doing in a nutshell. Now, I want to go ahead and let me go on to my Udemy. And what we're going to do is I'm going to follow along with Andrew Ramdayal. And then you guys can follow along with me. I recommend Udemy. It's a great resource for learning. There's a lot of CompTIA partners on there that do great test prep that they curate themselves, and it's much better than um, any of the test prep that you would receive from AI that you would try to prompt yourself, right? So Udemy is a great place. Definitely go there. Try to get some of the courses when they're on sale. Or another thing you can do is just pay monthly because then you can kind of access everything. And to be honest, it's not very expensive, and I definitely think it's worth it. So I just logged in. Let me go ahead and get this going. Dismiss. Go away, bro. We're just trying to do labs, man. Okay. Installing Windows on a VirtualBox. All right. Let's do it. Let's learn, guys. Hmm. Okay. So first up, let's go to Oracle Box. This is what Oracle's site looks like. Make sure you're downloading the correct. Make sure you're downloading the correct thing that you need. Any comments? Nobody here? No worries. All right, so you have a 64-bit architecture CPU, which I do. These are your list of operating systems. Okay, so let's go ahead and do. I have Windows, so we're going to do the Windows installer. Okay, so now we're going to open it. I always do show more details because I want to verify the certificate. It's just basic cybersecurity practices. Make sure there's nothing crazy. You can go to certificate path, and then you can see it went from DigiCert, trusted root, before the certificate is okay. All right, cool. So that's kind of, we'll talk more about that too, but always check your certificate and make sure that it's coming from the right place. That's how you know you're not downloading any schism gism. Welcome to the Oracle VirtualBox installer. Next. I do accept the terms. It's probably just saying basic copyright information. If conditions are imposed, yeah. So basic copyright information and some legal terms that you're going to agree to. Okay. Custom setup. Okay. Click the icons in the tree below to change the way the features will be installed. Hmm. All right. Let me go back to Andrew's page real quick. All right. Hold on, dude. VirtualBox application. Um, this could be a problem. Hold on. No, I can't disconnect my network because that shuts off the live. If we got to pivot, we got to pivot, man. I might do these as an upload because with the way that this looks, I might not be able to do this live. Let me see. Hold on. I would love some assistance with this too. And remember, the point of this channel is to learn together. I'm doing a lot of this stuff for the first time, just to show you guys that trying things is not scary. Okay. Mhm. So what Andrew's doing is setting up Windows 10 inside of a VM, but he's already kind of got VirtualBox installed. So if I can't actually install VirtualBox on a live, which is what it seems like, we're gonna pivot and I'm gonna show you guys something else that is great. And then I will go ahead and do this myself, and I'll try to upload it on Tuesday, so that way you guys can watch it before we go live on Tuesday. All right. So we're gonna do a little bit of a pivot, and I'm gonna put you guys on to something else that's awesome. Let's go ahead and go to Jake's Tech Labs. All right. I'm gonna put you guys on to Jake's Tech Labs. This is a great platform where we can go ahead and learn subnetting 101. IT resume workshop. So who is Jake Tech? Jake Tech is a good YouTuber. He's got a lot of good information when it comes to getting into tech careers. He's currently working as a system admin, and his channel has helped a lot when it comes to guiding where I'm going as far as which certifications I'm going for, and kind of how to structure my learning journey when it comes to breaking into cyber. I've been using a lot of his stuff, right? So one of the things that we can learn is mm, 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 okay. What other labs do I have? Caesar Cipher coding. Oh man. All right, let's see how this Active Directory lab works. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna be completely honest, guys. We are not set up for labs yet, and I had this whole thing planned out, and it's just not working the way I thought it was going to. That shows you that this is actually live, right? Um, I think, to be honest, I'm going to do these in a separate full length upload, and that way you guys can just participate by leaving comments and stuff. Because I do apologize. I'm still new to streaming. I'm still new to tech learning in general, right? So doing the best I can, but I think for this, it's a little bit too much to do live because it seems like we're gonna have to. Yeah, so we'll have to spend a little bit of money. Looks like his DHCP lab. Dynamic host configuration protocol. It's basically how the internet gets set up. Jump straight to step 10. Oh yeah, this could be sick. Should we try this? Okay. Paid or free trial. Okay, so it looks like this is a walkthrough actually on how to do it. So if you go to jakestechlabs.com and you just from here, he's got different labs and different learning utilities, right? So you can do the lab on Active Directory, which uses basically like virtual machines, and that is like if you've ever been at work and you like text or call the IT guy and you're like, "Yo, dude, I forgot my password. Can you please reset it for me?" And then he just says, "Your new password is this," and you're like, "Bro, you didn't even come over here. How did you reset my password from the cloud?" He didn't do it from the cloud. He did it from Active Directory. He's got a host computer, and it's got an Active Directory of all the users that are attached to that local area network, right? So that's how a lot of system admins and a lot of tech support people will actually have access to multiple systems by being in one place. So DHCP is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. That is how networks are administered IP addresses. It manages the leasing time of them. It's basically how networks are configured in a modern environment. So between those two, you'll be in a great place to go ahead and say you've got a little bit of experience. And then subnetting is calculating network ranges and designing schemes for real. That's a little bit past my knowledge of understanding because I'm studying security plus right now, and I plan to do network plus after. So I would love to learn subnetting with you guys, and if you guys have any information on it, please leave it in the comments. Also, you can hit this IT resume workshop, and in here it'll tell you all these things: how to structure your resume clearly, writing bullet points to show impact, not just responsibilities, which is a huge one that I learned from him. Tailoring your resume for different IT roles depending on what you want to do, iterating your resume efficiently using GPT as a feedback tool for refinement, which is great. Um, and then identifying and eliminating common resume mistakes that quietly kill applications, which means you might be putting in apps and not wondering, and then wondering why you're not getting stuff back. And you could just be hurting yourself by doing things that you didn't even know were kind of on a red flag list, per se. Right. So, yeah, that's like, and so yeah, this is my introduction to labs stream. We're going to be using Jake's Text Labs, and then you'll have two videos that teach you guys how to download Oracle Box, and it'll be a full instructional video. So you guys will be able to learn with me there. And then I'm also going to do another video on CPUs. So look forward Tuesday to a live with a CPU lesson and explanation, and we're gonna go really deep. By the time we're done with it, you're gonna completely understand the brain of the computer. I promise you. Um, and then you guys will also understand. If you followed along, then you'll have set up your own virtual machine, and you'll be ready to play around with Linux and other things. If you go to Udemy, or maybe you guys have Coursera, or um, I don't know who on YouTube might be able to show you how to do that too. But yeah, you'll have a virtual machine to play with, and you can practice RAID arrays and all kinds of fun things that we need to be hands on with before we go to these jobs and get in these environments where we're actually configuring this tech and assigning these things. You want to make sure you have a, a, a deep understanding of it. So the other little resource I want to put you guys on to is this site, Coding Games. This is really cool because you can continue without an account. Welcome to onboarding. Coding Game lets you improve your coding skills with game. So you can click this site. This is your mission statement, right? Boom, boom, boom. It tells you solo and multiplayer coding games are turn-based. You get new inputs and actions that you got to put. And then you can choose which language you want to learn. So they have Bash, they have C, they have C++, they have Java, JavaScript. If you want to learn Python, they have Python, they have Ruby, they have a bunch of other ones I've never heard of. They have TypeScript. Yeah. Um, so I'm gonna do C++, right? C++ is a really cool coding language that they use for a lot of like AAA games. I'm like I said, I'm a big gaming nerd, so I definitely want to get better at C++. Let's play with this for 5 minutes and see how we do. And again, if you guys want to follow along, it's codinggame.com, HTTPS, hypertext transfer protocol secured, www.codinggame.com. IDE puzzle onboarding. You don't have to have an account, but if you want to like save your progress and stuff like that, go ahead and sign in with your Gmail or anything like that. Whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you're most secure with. So, okay, let's tell your program to shoot the closest alien. Copy and paste this code at the right place in the code editor. Okay. So let's copy the code. Enter the code here. All right. We're going to enter the code here literally. Okay, let's check my code. Oh, all right. So you saw I have just coded it to destroy the closest alien to me. That was sick. All right, fire. You ready to learn code and play? Boom. Yeah, see? Reset the code. So let's try JavaScript. Okay. Uh, I don't know JavaScript at all, dude. I've been practicing C++ a little bit. But yeah, get on here, play some games. Uh, it's not just that game. There's a bunch of ones, dude. Um, cryptography. I don't know. I saw Nintendo. The puzzle may only be completed in C++. This puzzle can be solved for the practice these concepts and improve your cryptography skills. Okay. Nintendo sponsored contest. Oh, this is dope. Okay, so here's a pseudocode version. You can download C++ version of the goal is to determine the numbers from an encoded program. I don't know what this is, but that's pretty sick. Hmm. That was actually really interesting just to like see how that works. You guys want to try a different programming language? Okay, let's try JavaScript. So you'll see the coding is a little bit different. Um, Tell your program to shoot the closest alien in JavaScript. Enter the code here. So it goes. I wonder why it has to have those though. Okay, let's check my code. Right. Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that is how we're gonna practice coding. Coding games, man. You can't beat it. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen now and just talk to you guys. Coding games is a great way we're gonna learn codes. We're gonna use Jake's Tech Labs to practice DHCPs, subnetting, and a lot of networking stuff. And then we might get into some usage of virtual machines, which we'll use Kali Linux and some Windows 10. Um, how to get a virtual machine will be covered by Tuesday. So keep your notifications on. And when you see that upload, go ahead and watch it so that we can, in the future, have that platform to play around with together. And again, that is my mistake. I didn't really figure that it would interrupt the network function just for me to download it. Um, but again, hey, we're all here to learn. So now you guys know, make sure you have your network up, running, and stable before you attempt to download your VMs. If you guys have any questions about your hardware requirements, like, oh, can my system handle a VM? You can always go to, well, here's how to do it on Windows. System information right here, and it's going to show you all your hardware info, right? So you can go there and it'll tell you everything related to like your RAM and your CPU. And if you don't know how to read that, you can honestly copy and paste it into ChatGPT and say, here are my system hardware information, specifications. Based on this, would I be okay running a virtual machine? It's really good at answering tech questions. So definitely use GPT 5.4 and or Claude. Um, you can't really go wrong when it comes to checking things and using them for things like that because it's not much like human oversight required. So we're gonna go ahead and stop here. That's how labs are gonna work. And that concludes our first week of Silicon Made Simple. We go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'll be uploading shorts that you guys can interact with and a little bit of bonus content. Um, yeah, that's really all I can think of for now. Thank you guys so much for tapping in. To anybody that watched this afterwards, Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us. Thank you for learning with us. I hope that you learned something new. If you have something to add on to what I said, you want to correct something I said, you want to enhance something that I said, or you would just like to, show some love. The comments are now on. My lovely wife brought it to my attention that they were not on before, and I got that figured out. So drop those comments. I look forward to talking with you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday for our lesson on CPUs because that is one of my favorite parts of the computer. We're gonna go really deep. We're gonna cover cores. We're gonna cover everything from laptop CPUs to server CPUs, Threadrippers, all this crazy tech stuff. Right? It's going to be a really, really good one. So thank you guys for spending some time with us. And until I talk to you then, be safe. Have a great night.